Well, hello and welcome back to the Black Lodge. It's Saturday night. We are here with some drams to welcome in the weekend. Even though it's Saturday, it's probably a Friday night thing, but glad that some of you have joined me already. I can see. I hope everybody has been keeping well this week. It is the back end of February now. We're coming into March. The nights are getting shorter. Sunset's coming about 5-ish now. So we're starting to see the back end of winter, at least. We've got that going for us. I hope everybody's had a really successful week. We've got a good few topics to discuss this evening. I've not even poured myself a dram yet. Just been getting set up. You might have seen me if you watched the very start of this stream. If you're watching this on catch up, you would have just seen my gleek looking face, looking quite confused about what was going on because I'd pressed the live button without pressing the intro button. So we've got that going for us at the start of the evening. So off and running. What else could we hope for? Cheers. As you might have seen, if you saw it on social, the theme of tonight, not so much a theme, but a good topic of discussion. We have had the Springbank Frenzy, the first 2025 release of the Springbank cohort, shall we call them, that's caused all the usual moaning and pain amongst us all. I hope if you've been after some, you've managed to get some. I know there's quite a few local elites managed to get some from the local shops. Congratulations on that. If you've not got some, don't worry. There's plenty of other whiskey. Some might come along. There's still suppliers and retailers that haven't done their allocated segment yet. So we're going to talk about that. Also in the news, we've got the Scottish Whisky Association going to war with England, which is an interesting. They've got to do something. We'll talk about that. We also have on the note of Springbank, we have the Campbelltown Whisky Festival that's coming up in the third week of May. There's releases for tickets for that, so we'll chat a wee bit about that. What else have we got? As usual, I've managed to take notes. I'm getting a wee bit more organised at this. We've got some other Whisky Festival chat and Whisky event chat coming up. And just the usual Saturday Night Drams, a few drams, bit of chat with your fine selves in the chat. If you're watching this and catch up, always appreciate it. Please do feel free to comment as well on these, even though you're watching it in repeat, because people will respond. We've got a good wee community on this that joins in every week. First off, we have people joining. Craig, great to see you. Hope you're feeling better. Hope everything's been okay this week. I know that you pinged me about the Drammers draw, Royal Mile. I don't know. I genuinely don't know anybody that's ever won anything on those Drammer draws. If you have, please let me know. Because, they put them up. And then I see people just posting on Instagram, yeah, I've just picked this up at the shop. Fantastic. But I suppose if you're local, great. Derek, good to have you in with us. Thank you very much. Hope you've been keeping well. My usual housekeeping. Do let us know in the chat, guys, what you have in the glass. As I said, I've not poured mine yet. I am going to kick it off because I did say on social that this was a Springbank themed one. So I have 4 bottles down here of various Springbank-ish selection. And behind me, you might see. Let me go this way. Shelves are a wee bit bare. A lot of bottles in the bar. We're going to talk about what that's all about, and what the month of March may hold as a consequence. I've just realised I'm opening this and never said what I'm opening. This is the outturns from 2 years ago, 2023. How do I know that? Because it tells you on the back. So if you don't know what it's run about there, it's just stamped. This is February 2023 bottling, and you can see this. You won't be. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Well, that zoom in, focus. There's a lot of sediment there in the bottle, but we'll see. We'll see if this is the sulphury one, because one of these was really sulphury. I really hope it's not this one. smells super sweet. Tell it's no chill filtered. That haze. If you're new to whiskey and you get that in your glass, don't worry. That's just a normal factor of non-chill filtered whiskey. If it's cold. Cheers, everyone. No, there's no sulphur in that. That's good. That is lovely. Nice way to kick us off. Had that 15 for a while. Needed to open it. It's one of those things, you just end up sitting with bottles, and that's why I think this whole chasing the Springbank, I'm fortunate that I manage it. I've got a nice wee steady supply of 10s and 15s, and by that I mean like I might see them in shops and I can pick one up and I just put it by, but I don't hold them. So I've got another 10 there. I think that's my last 15. And I might try and see if I can pick one up at the latest outturn. But they are a treat when you get them. Dutch Jura, great to have you in. Thanks for joining. Tasted the new Long Row 100 proof in the Bonaccord tonight. What a dram, really nice. Yes, I have seen it. I was really hoping someone would have had it by now. Really tempted by it. Really tempted. There's been a couple of opportunities to come and go buy it, but I've been too slow. I've just not been quick enough. I've been too busy. Trying to just get other stuff sorted. I'm hoping that if it comes up on Master of Mall, or it might come back up in other places, I can pick some up, because it would be fantastic. Derek's on the Jameson 12 Special Reserve. How's that going down? Typical Jameson Irish, smooth. And Jeff, whiskey has joined us. Even again, drinks whiskey, always seem to catch us. I'm doing whiskey things, great timing. It's a great time for it, Jeff, and I think we're in a similar scenario with kids and family responsibilities, that at this time of night seems to be our witching hour, the time that we can get our whiskey stuff done. And it was today I realised, I was like, oh, I do this at 9:45, and then I was like, that's when Roy Aquaviti does his wee pubs, and it's not, the decision behind it's not to copy him. Not that I have to say that, because everybody knows I'm not copying him. But it's just because it's a convenient time. By the time I put the little one to bed, have some dinner with my wife, and then by the time I come down here and try set this up, and get stuff moving and rolling. But great to have you join, Jeff, as always. For a clean, fresh bottle open, it's just lovely. That 15, just a little elevated. I remember the first bottle of Springbank 15 I had, I used it to wrap. I had it on Christmas Eve. I opened it on the Christmas Eve. It must have been 2020, maybe. And I just sat and I drank like a good quantity of it as I was wrapping the presents. I got very liberal with my labelling machine. I used up all the labels. Thought I was being arty. I drank it, and then at that point was when the 15 rocketed in value, and everybody was chasing it. And it was the first time I'd been like holding a bottle in my hand that I'd drank half of, and I think I'd paid like 60 quid or something at the time, if that. And it was going for like £140, £150. I'm like, oh my god, what was it that good? Thankfully things have calmed down since then, and I've drank a lot more since then of this, but it's just a cracking dram, isn't it? Welcome, Chris. Deanston 12, cannot fail. Nice to catch you live. I always watch your catch up. I really appreciate you watching the catch up, and anyone that does watch your catch up, I really appreciate it. I don't quite understand the live numbers and the catch up numbers, because the catch up numbers seem to do quite well. I'm always surprised by that, because it is quite a thing. But because a lot of the time these are just, there's never really a defined topic. I do wonder about that, so I always appreciate everybody that can join. I'm terrible at publicising them. I'm really bad at it, which is ironic, considering all things considered. But it's I just enjoy doing them, and when the opportunity comes, I had a whole I spent the entire day today with my little daughter, out in London, and I didn't know if I was going to do it because I thought I might be quite tired when I get home. And then I came home and I'm like, yeah, I'm quite into it. I quite enjoy doing it. Really enjoy joining all you guys as well. I think we're building a nice little community on a Saturday night here, enjoying it. Knob Creek 9, yeah, Knob Creek 9's fantastic, isn't it? I don't have one here, I've got the 12 in there, and I believe that Craig in the chat, I think he's got the 12 as well. He was drinking that last week, the week before. Sometimes you just want like a nice bourbon, especially to kick off things. I think they're great. Tim, welcome. Hopefully we're starting to get in a wee cadence of the streams that maybe if you're watching this live or if you're watching it repeat, take the chance. Have a look at my Instagram if you're not already. I'll try and post in as advanced as possible on that if I'm going to go live. And then the problem is with the setup, it's really annoying with the YouTube Studio app. You can't really schedule anything from there. You have to be on the desktop. So I was looking at trying to do it like at 5 o'clock today and try and just put up coming, and it wouldn't let me. And so then when I did it here, I only had a couple of minutes to kind of announce beforehand. Got the big peach cherry storm. You tried the other week, bargain for $37.50. What did you think? I know you're saying it's a bargain. What did you think? I've like for the money. It is a bargain. I think it's great. If you've not watched, I've got the series I'm doing, which is For Me or No For Me, and one of the first ones I kicked off with was that, and it's really good. I think it's really good. Spoiler, it's For Me, but I think there's so much value out there, and I think we're going to talk about this tonight, especially talking about Springbank week and the pressure, the FOMO that comes from Springbank week. About there is plenty of whiskey out there, and I know we all love it and we all want what other people, we all covet it, but don't be disheartened if you don't get it, because we're finding there's loads of good whiskey out there at the moment, and we're finding lots of bargains as well, and people try to clear stock. There's a lot of opportunity coming up. Craig, got the Knob Creek 12 pallet still sketchy. Sorry to hear that, mate, but Lafroig 10 and Guinness, so that'll cut through anything. That'll get you sorted. Very medicinal, isn't it? Lafroig 10, it's TCP, and then Guinness is good for you, so you can't go wrong there. Cannot go wrong. Following on from last week's rant about foreign beer being British made and then just tasting crap, I went and picked up the big bottles of the Pilsner Urquell, because it's still brewed and bottled in the Czech Republic. It's just annoying, isn't it? I get it. It's all about margins and it's all about cost and whatever. I'm just trying to see. Yeah, 4.4%. Not too bad. But just give us what we need. Give us what we need. It's been some week in the world of news, from a whiskey point of view. And I'm going to kick off with talking about, and it'd be great to get your thoughts on this, everyone in the chat, everyone watching and catch up. The Scotch Whisky Association seems to have went to war with English whiskey. And they have a habit of doing this. And part of me thinks they do this to try and stay relevant. It's a bit like North Korea, where they launch a missile once every couple of years to be like, hey, we're still here. Hey. And I use that analogy because I used to live in South Korea, and they would do it. I know the Koreans would just be like, and we're all worried, going, oh my God, what's going to happen? And we're going to war. And they're like, they just do this. They just do this to remind us we're there. Off the back of my rant the other week or last week about just the lack of them doing I just don't see them do much. It's like they're trying to earn their value. So they're saying that they have to go to war to protect Scotch malt whiskey because England, the UK government and that want to designate English single malt as a listed thing. And what? Like, it's English whiskey. People are not confusing it. It's not like the Canadian scenario where it was like they were treading on the toes of the Glens or whatever it was they were trying to do. The Glen, I don't even know the name of that whiskey, that Canadian whiskey, but it was like Glen Murdoch or something like that. And like, it sounds too Scottish, and you're calling it this and whatever. Fine, but if the Lakes come out with a single malt, like an English single malt, it's English whiskey. If Wireworks come out, English single malt, it's English. Like, I know they've got to protect the Scotch whiskey industry and everybody's on edge, but as long as it's clearly defined, you know, I just don't understand it. There's so many other issues that they could go after at the moment. The lobbying of government has been horrendous. This won't make a difference, I don't think, unless they take it to court. They've done nothing for the Scotch whisky industry with the government. They've paid it lip service and said, oh yeah, we've tried, and the Labour government's let us down. Well, the Conservative government let us down as well, massively. They never stopped that. And then they bring in their head of, and he's not got much lobbying skills because there's nothing happening there. And then the industry is really suffering. Go to bat for them. Go to bat for the industry and like the people. Don't go to bat over at England. Come on, man. Like, it's so parochial. It really frustrated me, and I would love to know in the chat, guys, like, what do you think, if you've seen this story or not? If you just Google it, whiskey news, and click on news, you'll see it, because it's the big news. It's in all the papers. They're trying to make it a bit, some of the newspapers are trying to make it an England-Scotland thing. It's not at all. I know that they've got to, and I understand it's designated and whatever, but come on, you know, it's just a bit silly. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm missing something really important here. And if that's the case, then please, I'm happy to be educated by people in the whiskey trade who think that, yeah, this is actually really damaging and it will affect their business and whatever. But I've just seen let's see if that comes up. I think it was Glen Britain in Canada. Yeah, they went after him because only Scotland has Glens. You know, like, they just seem to go after really silly little. There's so much more that needs to be done at the moment, and there's so much positive stuff they could be doing. They could be singing the praises and trying to build it up. And I think I mentioned before, why don't they look at more like Burns Night is a huge opportunity for whiskey, Scotch whiskey. Burns Night, St Andrew's Day in November, you know, like, is it the festive season's kicking off? Put some efforts into some positive stuff, really help the industry. Also, start reeling in some of these festivals and say to them, like, what are you doing? Like Spirit of Speyside, who's that for? Who's paying that money? How are we filling the cup? How are we getting people in? Oh god, I've kicked off quite feisty on this one, haven't I? But it's really it. I just don't understand it. It's so silly to go after these little storm in a teacup when there's such wider, bigger issues that they should be tackling. Taxation is one in the UK. There has to be some allowances made and stuff like that. It's so silly. Like, go and help where the help is needed. No, I don't. I've no, like, I'd like to think that I'm across quite a lot of like whiskey brands and people that work in the industry on Instagram and that. I'm not seeing anybody complaining about this, because I think they've got bigger fish to fry. Sure, I totally agree with you about your single malt stand. Don't understand it. I really don't. And I wanted to highlight this at the start. I know it's no super positive chat, but I don't see who it helps. I don't see England coming to steal Scotch. And we've got Jeff, who better placed to talk about this. Tempted to put video notes on it. English single malt whiskey requires to be distilled at one site, while mashing and fermentation could take place elsewhere. I think that is the main issue. But so are they worried that the mash and the fermentation could be Scotch. I'm trying to understand the problem with this. And if that's the definition of what English single malt whiskey would be, then that would be defined as English single malt, would it not? That would be what makes that different. Like, American single malt has been designated just the last couple of months, and they're now making more single malt. They make more. There's more distilleries making single malt whiskey in America than there is in Scotland. You know, like, it's, can he fight these these battles? Maybe the fight is to make it really clear that that's the process. But that's not the job of the Scotch Whisky Association, to educate people what the English single malt process would be, if that's the case. Now, we're doing this all on ifs and buts and maybes, but hopefully people understand. Just saying, but don't quote me. Of course not. Of course not, mate. It's just one of those things, isn't it? It just feels like it's such a silly little fight at the moment. I think the fear is it devalues Scotch practices, which I disagree. Yeah, completely. I don't think it devalues the Scotch practices, because the reality is, we already have, there's practices English single malt do and American single malts do that Scotch can't do. Like, we know that. Like, we're so strict on what we can and can't do, what we can and can't put in the barrel. We can't put the state, we can't do this and all that. Remember the Compass Box? If you don't know, Compass Box did some stuff when they first launched that really got them into trouble with the SWA and all this. Fine, if we want to be super strict, and that's the lanes we're in, that's fine, but it doesn't, I don't think it devalues Scotch at all. And I also don't, it's not like English single malt is cheap. So it's not like it's a race to the bottom. But aye, that's my 2 cents on it. I just think, come on guys, man, there's bigger fish to fry. Don't push that out and try and show that you're busy. It just feels like busy work. See if you think this devalues connection to place with reference to the term single malt. Just silly, you know? You don't see bloody Parma ham kicking up a storm because of the bloody bear, that bear ham you get, you know what I mean, in the supermarket. Come on. They're both luncheon meat, they're both pork produce. Single malt and single malt, fine, but the single malt clearly states on it where it's from. And it still happens now. People go, oh, that's English whiskey. Oh, is it going to be bad? Oh, that's quite nice. Oh, I quite like that. I just think they're just trying to stay busy. I think that's all it is. I would love nothing more than an hour sit down with the SWA and just ask them so many questions about what's going on. And I know they're not massively, like, I don't know what the funding and the backing is behind them and stuff, but surely as the industry body for one of our biggest exports, they've got a bob or two, and they could put that to good use elsewhere. There's people losing their jobs right now in Scotch whisky. They're not losing it because English single malt designation. So, aye. Oh, no wonder I drink. No wonder I take a drink. So yeah, I'm just looking at my notes there. But thanks, Craig. It just came to me. Divine inspiration. The Billy Ham. Is it Billy Ham it's called? Or is that just a Scottish thing? Is that a Glaswegian thing? Am I getting it because it's the bear? I don't know. But you know, it's silly. It's silly. People know good and they know bad. No one's going to get it confused. And speaking of which, speaking of that, about good and bad and no getting confused, Macallan are back this week with their latest release in the Folio collection, the Folio number 8. Previously brought Folio 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can't say I've had any of them. Can't say that I have been invited to have any, because they send out, if you've got a login for Macallan, which you do if you're buying online, they send out invites to buy bottles of it. Didn't get any of those either, but saw people that did. And I think on the Highland whiskey auctions, there's already 17 or 18 bottles of it. £350 a bottle. They have moved away from their tin packaging to cardboard, because they've got to make those margins somewhere. You know, that liquid in that bottle, that non-age statement liquid, it's no paying for itself. Teletubby HQ, got to keep the lights on, even though it's all organic and green, isn't it? And now that they're still coining in the money, because they still have what's it called, grouse. They've not got rid of grouse yet, have they? They still got grouse. I think William Grant's been allowed to buy it yet. So, the folio 8 came out. So do let me know if anybody in the chat, especially amongst this whiskey community, has picked one up. I assume if you've picked it up, you've probably picked it up to sit either A, sit on a shelf, or B, quick flip it and buy some decent drams. No saying it's not decent, but you know what I mean. I've not tried it myself. Just Tim, as we were talking about the English swear is glopping in buckets of caramel colour, and it doesn't devalue single malt at all. Correct. It just makes it consistent. It makes the Scotch consistent, you know. Whereas England having the tenacity to call their single malt, that's what we go to war with. We've got the whiskey friend in. Good to see you, Hiddy. How's it going, fella? Going great, mate. Going really well. If you've just joined, you've missed my rant about the Scottish Whisky Association. Long and short of it is, they'll just try to keep themselves busy, in my opinion, because they want to go to war with England. Who knows? And we're chatting about the Macallan Folio number 8 release, the latest of their releases. Don't get me wrong, see if I had the chance to get one, I probably would pick it up and sit it on a shelf for a while, and then do what most people do and punt it. And that's purely based on that bottle there. That Night on Earth in Scotland that I had for ages, and it's so horrible, and it just sits because it's too big in box. It's a lovely box. And I opened it before Christmas, and it's in one of my videos, and it was embarrassing. It was embarrassingly bad that they would put that out and have the audacity to call it a Night on Earth in Scotland and represent Hogmanay, because it was stinking. It's probably when I was young and going out in Glasgow and Hogmanay, the hype was always bigger than the actual event. So maybe that's what they were trying to capture, the disappointment that you feel the next day, having spent a lot of money and the night being quite crap. Maybe that's what they went for. And I don't normally put, I don't like punching down. It's easy to hate on something. It's easy to just slag stuff off, right? And I really try not to. But I was so disappointed with that. And so angry as well that they would put something like that out. It's not a statement. It was, I think I paid 75 for it first. Then they put the price up to 80 because of demand. Then they put it up to 90. Then they started selling it for 100. Then they brought out the second release, which was the same as that one, but slightly different. Exact same, but slightly different percentage. Then they brought out another Night on Earth, that was like a Chinese one, and then they've brought out a Jerez one. And I was tempted by the Jerez one, because that's where I spent the day after my wedding. I spent in Jerez with my wife, and I thought that'd be nice, and I'm still so angry about it. And I've got a personal connection to Macallan and Edrington, so I try, and there's an inherent bias in me, unconscious bias, and I'm just, yeah, God, on a good rant tonight. This is no, don't worry, we're coming into smoother water, still waters. Get out this choppiness, but what a start. Get that off my chest. It's just been building all week. It's annoyed me so much. It really has. Hey, it's great to have you back. Hope you're keeping well up in Inverness. You got the snow yet? I see that there's going to be a lot of snow up that way. apparently this weekend. For everybody that's joining in, I can see there's quite a few have joined recently. Please let me know what's in your glass. At the moment, I am on wee Springbank 15 from 2023, the February release in 2023. We're going to get into it. We've not discussed it yet. We're going to talk about Springbank releases. Although Dutch Jura has already said in the chat they've had the Long Row 100 this evening at the Pot Still, and it was cracking, which I don't doubt it was. I think that's a really clever idea as well. It's a Long Row Red series. It was hitting a point where I know the last one, a lot of mates of mine that had it just weren't into it at all, just weren't enjoying it. Which was a shame, because the Long Row Red was the first Long Row I ever had. I think it was the Cabernet Sauvignon one, maybe. You can see it on Instagram. That was the other bottle, aside the Springbank 15 and that shot up in value after I opened them and drank them, and I was like, oh my god, what is this all about? Why is these whiskies that I'm really enjoying now going to cost fortunes? Give you the fear of opening anything. Talking about whiskey releases as well. So before we come on to Springbank, good news. Some good news for bourbon drinkers. Although I think there might be some dispute from Craig, because I'm not sure if Craig's having the best relationship with his bottle of it. Green River has made it to the UK. Now, if you watched my Kentucky series, I feel like I mention that every week, because I'm so proud of going out there and making the videos I did and the people I met. But when I was at the House of Bourbon, the House of Bardstown event in Louisville, by chance, and I got to meet Chad and Sarah from It's Bourbon Night, the YouTube channel, which if you don't watch, you should watch. Tons of content. It's fantastic. It's really well. It's so good. And I was asking them when we were back at the Bardstown place in Louisville, I said, of all this stuff, you guys know better than me. What's good value? What should I pick up? And she went, Sarah said, don't get the Boston, get the Green River. And I was like, what the hell's Green River? And at the time, I thought the Green River I saw in the Whiskey Exchange in London, and I hadn't. And that was my biggest mistake. And then the next night, or the night after, I went to Neat in Louisville, and I had a pour of the Green River there, and it was fantastic. And it was like $4 pour. And I think a bottle over there was like $35, if that, maybe cheaper. Well, it's now here. You can now get it at Nichols and Perks currently, and I believe it's going to Master and Malt as well really soon. So I'm just waiting for it to land there. They've got the full proof, the rye, the wheated, and the standard bourbon. So they've got the selection of 4, and they've been doing single barrels in the States that have been like flying off the shelves. They're owned by Bardstown, hence why they were in the Bardstown experience in Louisville. But it's about 3.5 hours away from Louisville to the west, out west. But the liquid's fantastic. It's really good. So if you get the chance to pick up a bottle, I would recommend it. If you get a chance to try it, I would recommend it. I think it's great that we're managing to get stuff like that over here. Bardstown, if you've not had them, seek them out. The bottles are a little bit pricey, but the liquid stands up. It really does. And I think that when we were there, we went on the tour and we were told that they are now the 3rd biggest manufacturer of whiskey in Kentucky. And that's been very quick. And their whole backstory is fascinating. It's literally like if Tony Stark decided he was going to make whiskey, and it was this billionaire, and he just pumped a ton of money into it because he got right into whiskey. And then just before it was finished, he died. And so they just have this unbelievable like setup. But the people that are running it over there, guy Dan, who's like head of product development, I met him. Super clever guys and women, just super clever people. So definitely give that a shot if you get the opportunity. Right, let's see what's going on in the chat. We have Hamish is in. Alan, whiskey friend, he's on the Tullibardine 10 Thompson Brothers. How's that going? Tullibardine, it's a bit of hit and miss for me, Tullibardine. Their actual releases don't really touch hit the spot, so to say. But that sponge release they did was unbelievable. So hopefully it's as good as that. Oh, I'm seeing Hamish and Derek here are talking about Limburg. Everything booked bar the flights. Oh, fantastic. Kyle, welcome in. Thanks for commenting. Decided to polish a pair of Talisker 8-year-old Diageo art bottles. The rum and the heavily charred, I think it was 1920s. Had planned on waiting until I got to Skye, but they were getting low. Well, if you've got rid of the two of them, then you're just going to have to buy another 2 bottles. Something else. See what it says. Alan saying, I think Springbank have trouble with their special age bottles. They're getting too young. I think they're a victim of their own success, mate, to be honest. The local barley being 8. So, probably, I'll do this in my next stram. I've got last year's here, the 13, and I think you can see it's a cracker. Anybody that's had it knows. Fantastic, 13-year-old. And year on year, from the year on year, from the year before to this one, I didn't like the year before. Didn't enjoy it that much. Whereas this, I loved. I absolutely loved. And I don't feel guilty because I managed to get another bottle of it. So I have another bottle of it in the house. So I'm able to enjoy it a little bit guilt-free at the moment until it comes. But I think that success has kind of done it. And I think the Long Road Red series, that last bottle, was very Marmite. Like Marmite, if Marmite also was a bit crap. So it was like a smaller percentage of people enjoyed it than would normally do it. But it's one of those things, isn't it? It's just, where did they go? But then at the same time, I've got a bottle here from last year's open day that people got me that I'm going to open later, which is a Long Row 16 and Ruby Port Cast. So they have stocks there, but it's whether it's the quantity, isn't it? Not me to say they're getting a wee bit greedy, but they're trying to punt out a hell of a lot of stuff. Tim's on Woodrose Inchfad 5 for me tonight. Lovely. Fantastic. Hamish posted a Six Nations themed blind tasting this afternoon in Inverness. The other day was Jinx when the English Dram Bimbo won it. Oh, mate. I'm not a big rugby guy. My wife's family, who are English, are all massive rugby, like play rugby, love rugby, do all that. And I've really enjoyed the last few years because I don't care about rugby, but I enjoy the family group chat where I send the same emoji every year now, and it's just the eyes when we win. And then I was just saying to my wife, I was like, oh, I was about to tee up the emoji, and then we scored the try at the end. And I thought, yes, here we go. I'm going to get sent the emoji again. Record breaking, and missed the kick. And I don't know. As I say, I'm not a huge rugby fan. Obviously enjoy it when we win that because we're the massive underdogs. And the fact that that record was about to be broken as well was unbelievable. But we're Scotland, aren't we? That's what we do. Glorious failure. I think the latest local ball is 8 years old, but still cracking. That's really good to hear, because I wanted to know as well, the price, a little bit high, and I saw somebody else on Instagram review it from a neck pour and said 70 quid, yeah, but 90-95 is a bit too much. Do we think that's fair? Do we think maybe, I don't even know what last year's was. I might have a wee, let me see if I can find online. Local barley 2024. When did it come out? Riveting content here for everybody. Can I seem to find it? Oh, maybe. Let's see. I think I might have found the cost here. Because it'd be interesting to know, because it was so, I really enjoyed it. And I was happy to get another one. So I don't imagine it was too much. Oh no, it was. It was. It was quite expensive. Christ. 125 quid. How much it was? 125 quid. Nah, surely not. Surely not. Then we've got Derek saying, what did you go for Irish? And he was saying it ended up being the venue chose the Drams, so it was a Waterford. Finished 4th, I'm afraid. Waterford whiskey finishing 4th. Oh, that's not too bad. 6 Nations, so I assume there was 6 Drams. There are a couple of Waterfords that are good. I know everybody, again, that's another one that people punched in on, the Waterford stuff. I think they made a big... The judgment, the idea was nice, but the judgment of just pumping out bottle upon bottle upon bottle upon bottle of 1.1s. Kind of hard to recover that. Lowlander, great to see you. Cheer up, it's only rugby. Had it been a football, it would have been a different story. Well, my team today had a nightmare as well. But I was out all day, so it was fine. Petehead, great to have you, and don't apologise. Just great to have you in. We've got quite a lot of people in the chat this evening for me. A lot of people, a lot of good chat going on. I'm sure you can watch the first, whatever it was, maybe the first 25 minutes. How long have we been going? The first 35 minutes, 40 minutes. Just me ranting. It's me going off on a tangent, being quite angry about the world of whiskey. But that aside, you've no missed myself. We're going to get into dive into the world of Springbank in a second. In fact, no time like the present. I've got that local barley in the glass. It just smells great on the nose. So welcoming. I'm not here for me to do tasting notes of that, but it's just the richness. 54.1%. It's all there. It's all there. And I found it doing those from me or no from me videos. I do this with my hands a lot. And my wife's been taking the piss at me for doing it. So I can only apologise. I'm very, I don't know what I'm trying to do with it. Harry Potter, casting spells. But it's good. It's good whiskey. That's how you know. I get really animated. And I've got a cracking video coming out tomorrow. The release schedule on those, for me or no for me, you might have noticed, are Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays. And the one tomorrow is an absolute treat. An absolute treat. So do make sure you watch that. It's not a whiskey that's easily available, but it was fun. It was very fun to drink. So we're on to Springbank week. So Alan, the whiskey friend's already said that about the age statements and the quality maybe getting down a wee bit, and other people are commenting, no, the quality's still there. Has anyone been successful, picked up bottles? I know Dutch Jura said in the chat they've managed to have the Long Row 100 and the local barley 8 and tried them and said they were great. Did you go after them and fail? Did you not bother? I think I tried to think. A local barley came up on Tindrum, and I had no chance. Trying to do my phone. I was buying water softener salt at the time, and I was trying a 25 kilo bag of salt on my shoulder, salt tablets, and try to do it, and it failed. But I'm hopeful. That I might be able to pick a bottle or something with the release up. But I'm not going to be hunting. I think the Long Row 100 is really interesting. The local barley I would like to try. Kilkerran 8. It's Kilkerran, it'll be good, I assume. Bourbon cask as well. The 30-year-old, come on, who are we kidding? And then what else? That's the output, isn't it? There was no Hazelburn this time. And then there was the standard ones. So it was not a relatively small output, but not the usual. It goes out. Now we've got Mike picked up a Long Row 100 proof. Have you cracked it open yet? We've already had Dutch Jura say it's fantastic. I think it's going to be hard not to be. And they finished it as well, didn't they? They've got it and finished it in something for a couple of years. Did you see the Cadenhead March release, the Ben Rennis 18? I did see that, and I need to... I get the emails because I'm in the society, and I never know how to order them. I meant to just send an email to one of the shops, but then I'm like, can I send it to any shop? And then they come back. But I saw that one, and I was like, wow, that looks fantastic. And I'm a big Ben Rennis guy. I really like the spirit, the meatiness of the spirit. So aye, that's on the list. There was another one on the list as well that I saw, and I thought, oh, that could be good. And I think what they're putting out at the moment, their outturn has been quite prolific recently. There's been a lot of good stuff coming out of them, reasonably priced as well, and they're getting more stock from Glengyle. Like you're starting to see like Kilkerran. They're putting. I think is there a long row in this one as well? I've got a bottle. I might dig it out. I've got a Springbank one that I picked up in Edinburgh at the before the Whiskey Fringe at Cadenheads as well. So I need to crack that open at some point. Whiskey Friend entered the ballot for the Springbank 30. Fingers crossed. I know. That's all you can do, isn't it? With that one. I saw 985 quid. 935, 985 quid. It'll be lovely. It'll be lovely. I think for me it's just that's out of where I'm playing, to be fair. If I won it, I would probably do a split with a lot of people in my whiskey group. Because it'd be the only way I could afford it. But then, how many people would want some is the question. I'm lucky based in Glasgow and I can get them at the Bond. Yeah, Glasgow. I was thinking about Glasgow the day. Any excuse to go home, to be fair, for me, and get up there. It's just there's so much selection that you can get about. You get the Bond, Pot Still as well. We'll get some other places as well. There's just some good bars that you can go in and hope to stumble upon it. And then if you get lucky and if you've got a relationship with good spirits or that, they might be able to get you a pour if they've got anything opened. Quite rare, but maybe they've got tastings and stuff. I know they do that. Was it Long Row 8? Was that the first one on the email? I'm trying to remember, but there was a couple that came out and I thought they looked really good. Finished in Pinot. Not had it yet, need to get to Cadenheads to get it. Yeah, fair enough. Was it the Pinot? Was Pinot last year? The Long Row Red Pinot. What was the one last year that like a lot of people hated? Be good to know. Craig, I'd rather buy a bottle that someone recommended in the chat than chase a bottle. I think you reach a point where obsessing with a bottle just leads to disappointment completely. Like, especially when they start getting pricey and then people are asking favours or you're going to have to spend a lot or you're buying a bundle. So I had the chance, that's right, the chance of getting the new local barley, it came up. Somebody sent it in the group and it was like Noble Grape or wherever it was, and it was that plus a Campbelltown Lock for like 150 quid. And I was like, I don't care. I don't need another bottle of Campbelltown Lock. And I don't need there's no like that, oh, it's worth the extra 50 quid. No, it's no for me at the moment. So I had to just politely decline. I just emailed the shop in Edinburgh and they can tell if they can reserve the bottle if I'm going to be putting a ballot. Fine, that's great to know, Olander. I think I'll do that myself. I think somebody's told me before, it doesn't have to be your local shop because they can ship as well, can't they? In fact, it's a great value for money too. You can collect them from the shop and avoid shipping charges too if you order by Monday. Yeah, it's just getting to this first world problems. Getting to the London shop. The London shop's a ball ache. It's up. You need to get to Baker Street, and unless you're up kind of North London way, then you've got to go. For me, I've got to get to London Bridge, and then I've got to get Jubilee Line up, and then walk down and get it. It's not too bad, but it's a hassle. It's a hassle. And there was a big fire opposite the shop on Chilton Street, at the Chilton Firehouse, of all places, went on fire. But I'm sure the street's open. Long Row 9, Oloroso Hogshead, 65 quid. See what I mean? Like that's in the current climate, I think that's good value. I don't think that's bad at all. And that's what we're saying about, you're out there, you're buying whiskey, you're trying loads of different things. Springbank week comes, everybody gets hyped up, gotta get it. There's loads of other whiskey that's out there that's fantastic, that's affordable. Then you get your full 08s come along. Nobody's drinking that. You know, like I saw a couple of bottles actually, people actually drinking them, which fair enough. But they've opened it. I just don't know how good it would be. Last year's red was finished 4 years in Pinot, so much heavier influence. Hoping the Long Row 100 proof, being only 2 years, will be more balanced. Yeah, I think, well, Dutch Jura on the chat's had it, and says it's good, says it's really good. And that 4 years in Pinot, yeah, so a lot of people never enjoyed it at all, and called it out, and even called it out on like the online tastings and stuff, and we're like, this is pretty bad. And I think wine casks can be that. You've got to be careful. Long Row's quite a robust spirit, so I think they thought maybe we can get away with it. But yeah, I did. A wee bit. Beer casks, I'm really funny with. Wine casks, I think you need to find the balance. You need to find the right spirit, and you've got to find the right time. The amount of time in the cask. Otherwise, it just ruins it, which I think that happened. That was it. Glengarry. Big Glengarry fan. 60 quid, bourbon barrel all day, 13 year. That's what? The standard 12 is like 50 quid. Glengarry 12. It's a 13-year-old at 55% bourbon barrel. And so that's what I mean. You're pinging out these bottles to me, Lowlander, and I'm like, yeah, I'll buy that. The outturn, the selection, and it's been weird because Signatory and Cadenheads or Caneheads, I'm going to interchange those words. I feel like they had a dip, and the dip came when I started taking note of them, and I couldn't understand why people would rave about the bottles they would put out. And I was like, but I'm not enjoying the whiskey. I don't see value in that. And it turns out that was a slump. And then I feel like both of them have got really back on track, and are like motoring ahead and using their resource and their stock to just slap some of the others about, to be fair. It's a tough game out there now, and they've just went, we're just going to, like old Michael Jordan style, just slam it, Shaq at the net, putting it in. I know. the cheek of it. 895 quid and in a tenner. Honestly. Glenn, great to have you in. Late at the party, what are we drinking? Well, at the moment, I am on last year's local barley 13. I'm on a wee Springbank, as we're talking about Springbank this evening. I'm on that. Had 15 beforehand. It'd be great to know what you're having. Frank, shipping charges is one thing. Import taxes are the hidden dangers. If they live from the UK, I can roughly add the price of another on taxes. Aye. Well, you know, we got to get different colour passports. It was obviously worth it. And we get to queue longer when we're going abroad. So that's really good. And you get to pay more on whiskey. It's a win-win for everyone. It's tough. And I know that sometimes, but I ordered whiskey from France, and it was fine. I never get taxed anything extra. And I think they handled it on their end, and even then it was still cheap. Comparatively. So it's a weird setup and a weird system. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you not get access to a bit more than what we get out there if it's on the shelf and it's at a decent price? I'm going off a limit, and I've seen people do whiskey tastings out there and stuff, and went around shops. And you're on the Manningmore 13, bourbon mature, of course. I need to warm up, so I'll pour a Hazelburn. Fantastic. I nearly got the Hazelburn I've got. I'm going to talk about that, why these shelves that normally have the bottles on are a little bit empty. One of these is a Hazelburn open day from last year, but I'm going to open this one next, which is last year's. I don't know if can we punch in? Bear with me, I'm going to attempt to punch in. Boom. That's not worked. That work? There we go. 16-year-old. Ruby Port Cask, that everybody that tried it said it was fantastic, and I've just been waiting for an opportunity to open it. Matured in oak cask, 35 cl, 54.7%, 16 years old, 2200 bottles. So we'll get that cracked open in a minute. Apparently, because of the B word resulting in the end of the franchise shops in Europe, has meant there's now more authentic collection releases for the UK. Makes sense. It makes sense, but I know they had some problems with people as well, didn't they? It was personnel as well over there. Derek's off to Limburg, I believe. Is that what you've just booked? Everybody raves about Limburg. I know Roy does as well and stuff. I think that needs to go on my 2026 maybe list, which we'll come on to. We're going to talk a wee bit about whiskey festivals. Evening, Drinkswhisky. Evening, Marcos. Good to have you in. I've actually got you in my notes. And I was going to say, this perfect segue, I'm going to bring Whiskey Marcos, works for North Star. He's a North Star ambassador. If you've not watched the podcast, the first episode, the only episode so far, there are more coming, of my podcast, Drams. You can find it on the channel. It was a really good chat in the middle of the Bon Accord, the Friday before the Glasgow Whisky Festival. It's funny when you think of the context of everything that was going on around us, and we were just locked in on the podcast. So Marcos, it's an absolute pleasure to have you in. Frank, prices used to be fair here indeed, and enough interesting stuff to find, and I kind of bypassed let any UK purchases be leveled in the UK and pick them up during my holidays. Don't tell customs. They're gifts. You're not doing anything wrong. And that's Derek confirming. Limburg's all booked up. Fantastic. Well, what I was going to talk about was obviously the Campbelltown Whisky Festival. That's coming up. That's the third week of May. And I couldn't make last year because I went to Kentucky. This year I was like, I'm going to go. And then life gets in the way, and I've not really been doing many drams on the run or out and about. I've just not had the time. But a lot of my whiskey group are going, and I've booked accommodation. I keep looking, and I'm thinking, maybe I go for a day or two, or find a way, or kind of work it out. So I've been looking at the scheduling, but not just the Springbank / Mitchell events. For lack of a better word, the Fringe as well. Everything else that's going on around it. And one of the events that caught my eye is actually Marcos is involved, and it is with What Whisky. The What Whisky guys always have a great showing at festivals. Home turf, they're based in Campbelltown. I know people that went there last year went and really enjoyed the stuff that was going on there. So they were doing all that, and then I saw that they've announced that they're doing on the Tuesday night of the festival. They've got Marcos from North Star Spirits, they've got Julie from Decadent Drinks, and What Whisky all together. Like, what a night that'll be. What a fantastic night of independent bottles. And I just looked at that and I thought, and then the release came out for the Cadenhead Society tickets for their warehouse tasting that you get, and I grabbed that just because I could, and I thought, well, if I don't go, I can always give it to someone else. And so it's been weighing heavy on my mind. And then I looked on the Airbnb, and so I don't know if I'm going to go or not. I don't know. I need to see how the lay of the land looks, both from a work point of view, a family point of view, a financial point of view. But I just know it's just it's like the Glastonbury or whiskey festivals, isn't it? Everybody just descends on it. So we'll see what happens. Marcos just talking about the podcast, smashing night, really enjoyed it. The Mighty Bon Accord, P-Head saying, see you in Campbelltown. Oh, honestly, I really would love to. Would love to. Olander shouting out Whiskey Marcos and the fantastic Tullabarden. See, that's the second Tullabarden mentioned tonight. We've got Alan, Whiskey Friend. He's on the Thompson Brothers Tullabarden. We've got Lowlander with the fantastic North Star Tullabarden. Mike saying, speaking of North Star, the 1994 Springbank Long Rose is the finest long rose I've ever tasted. Bravo. Look at this. Look at this. You come in, Marcos, and you get nothing but praise. Nothing but praise. What's better than that? Craig, look after yourself, mate. Thanks for joining anyway. Definitely catch up with the rest on catch up. Take it easy. Health is wealth and all that. Cujo, I'll be at that What Whiskey Tuesday evening. That'll be fantastic. That'll be a fantastic night. Like, Julie's going to bring some top drams. Do you know Marcos is going to bring top drams? Then they're all going to be competing. There's going to be professional pride at stake where they're all competing to go who's got the best. And the winners are going to be the people sitting there getting the drams board. Right, I'm looking at this. I'm going to have to get up. You're going to have to excuse me a second while I jump behind me. Because I don't know how I'm going to get into this. How did I get into that? You know, they're charging £10 shipping, lads. And oh, here we go. We're in. Don't need to get up. I thought they were scrimping, not putting that in. Oh, it's like jam. That bulk size as well, you just want to straight into it. You can see the colour, can't you? You can see the colour because I'm going to pour it in a different glass that you can't see. There we go. Oh, it smells fantastic. Everybody said this is an absolute treat. The Springbank is in rum casks, and I'm really funny about rum casks as well, because I think sometimes the rum just overpowers it, and it just becomes rum. A bit like beer casks sometimes, where it just becomes beer on the nose, and it just dominates. That just... We're in for a treat with that one. I say me, I'm in for a treat. Right, let's see what's chat saying. Alan, a whiskey friend, he's on another Tullabarden 6-year. Oloroso. Brilliant. Man with hat balling, very nice fella. Everybody's getting the Tullabarden out. Derek's on it as well. Whiskey Broker Tullabarden. You can't go wrong with Whiskey Broker stuff. Did you see that they got the giant shipment? The Whiskey Broker got the giant shipment of Linkwood. How do we feel about Linkwood? I don't mind Linkwood, but I don't know if they're just one of those distilleries that I know North Star, Marcos will jump in on this, did a great Linkwood, but there's the old Whiskey Broker were doing where it was really cheap. They'd got a huge vat, like a huge truck of it, tanker of it. Well, like, we can fill this up, and this is the price. Obviously, you get your tax and all that, but it still seems super cheap. And there just didn't seem to be the enthusiasm that I would expect for a release like that, like an opportunity like that amongst people. So I'm intrigued to know what you guys think about it. Oh, I was very, 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 very close. I was very close. It genuinely, on the nose, it was so fruity, jammy.
Hi there.
That's only going to get better. That's only going to get better in the glass. That's fantastic. I can completely understand. Look, I'm talking about a 60-year-old long row in port. You're either going to love it or correct me if I'm wrong, Frank. I don't think Petehead, that would be his port of choice, but maybe. I know he doesn't like sherry. How you feel about port? Yeah, I've got one bottle of Tullabarton, which is the Murray, and that's because it's my mum's maiden name and it's my uncle's surname. And I picked it up because he was coming over for Christmas a couple of years ago. So I picked up the Murray and we poured that on Christmas Day. But it was late in the day and I can't really quite remember how it tasted. But I've got it's behind the bar. Definitely got it. Oh, I don't feel the need to keep up. I'm just my measure. I pour quite. I'd need like an actual measure because I pour quite small measures. And I think it's because I'm used to when I'm filming stuff and that. I don't want to pour too big, because I want to try a few different things in that. So I normally do quite small measures. The recent video, the Yoichi one, I pour myself an accidental big measure. But it's not even big by normal standards. But for me, it was like, oh, I poured too much. That's me trying to downplay the pours. Derek, I saw that post. I love Linkwood, yeah. But I just never saw like people. Like, I don't know, maybe because obviously we're not seeing the background, people phoning up and emailing and whatever, for it. Marcos, love it. Yep. Peterhead, love it. Yeah, I don't think there's any. I don't think there's anybody that hates it, and that's what I couldn't understand. And I was like, am I missing something? Because this seems like a really good deal. You could fill your own cask as well, and I was like, I wonder if maybe get a 50-litre cask and maybe go up and. But then I was like, where am I? I'll just randomly, give me a 50-litre cask for somewhere, and then anyway. But it definitely opened my eyes to, from a pricing point of view, that there is. I think we're coming back. I think we're coming back to a period where we, like, Marcos at North Star and that will appreciate this as well. Casks won't be stupid priced, and therefore pricing can start to even out a wee bit, and people aren't having to go over odds. And we already saw that kind of Woodrow's comment about the signatory stuff, and hopefully we'll start to see that settle down. We'll start to see whiskey start being punted again the way it should be, like to be drunk. PX, it's good to have you in. That she was a 50 pour. It was. I never drank it all. Believe it or not, the glass is still back there with a wee lid on it because I've just not had the time. It's terrible. I've got so many glasses to take up the house and wash. That's my Sunday chore tomorrow to get done. And again, another soft spot for Linkwood too. Oh, I know what you mean. I also try to do little pours, however I blow it every time. Yeah, no, I've got to, because I've got to get from here up there. Though it was funny last week, after last week's stream, I'd spent the entire day on the patio, the white bloody patio, and it gets really muddy and dirty during winter. And I spent all day power washing it all and got it done. And I was like really happy, but obviously, we live in southeast England. The land is just clay everywhere, so the water sits and the grass becomes boggy, and even with paving stones and that, feet still get dirty. And I was like, right, I need to get up from here up there. I'll be fine. And I was tired. There was a natural fall off. I was tired. Plus, I'd had a few drams and a couple of beers, and I walked up and I thought, how can I get up there? How can I walk on this patio to the door? Not get it dirty. And I thought, I'll get a bin bag and I'll put it down and sack, and I just made an absolute mess. It looked like a big mud snail had just came across all the way. So even though I say it, best laid plans, but we'll get it's not a complaint, is it? That's fantastic. So before we talk a little bit more about Campbelltown Whisky Festival and the Malt Barn's dinner and stuff like that, I'm going to explain what's going on behind me. I'm just going to shift my head this way. So you see all those bottles, which are a collection from elsewhere. They're quite random. They were selected by... Oh, lights just went off. They were selected by memory. And by that, I mean I had a notebook. I'm doing a whiskey series, which, Alan, you might be doing it again this year, but it was inspired partly by you, and it's always been something I wanted to do. So I used to work in America and stuff, and they do March Madness with the basketball. And so it's March, and I was like, I want to just do a wee quick video a day in March, really making a push on it. Video a day in March. And Alan last year, the whiskey friend, he did his March Madness, Malt Madness, where it was head to head. And I'm going to do a very similar thing. I'm doing 32 whiskies. The 32 whiskies were from memory when I was sitting on the couch, and I just wrote down 32 whiskies that I thought I had, and then I dug them out. They're not getting grouped by taste, by region, or anything. They're from all over the world, predominantly Scotch, but there's some bourbon in there, there's some Indian whiskey, there's some Japanese, and then they're getting randomised, and they're getting put in, and they're going head to head, and it's a bracket, so it's winner stays on all the way through. And it's not going to deem the best whiskey, it's just going to deem the winner of March Madness. That's it. So they're all out. I was taking photos for the thumbnails, and I was just checking to make sure I had everything, and I've got a giant big stupid green screen that I'm trying to make the intro for and get the music and stuff. Because I enjoy making the videos, so I'm pushing myself to do that. So throughout the month of March, every day, this is my aim, every day of the month of March we'll have a video, and it will be the entire treat. The 31st of March will be the winner of March Madness. I'm also going to, during that period, still put out, I've got Drams on the Run Spanish edition to put out. I've got a Drams on the Run London edition to put out. I also will have a Black Laws Rambling that will probably go out mid-March. So the old content will go. For me or no for me, will take a back seat until March Madness is done. So that I can concentrate on getting that done. But so there's a lot going on in the content space. I'm really enjoying it. I think this year I've managed to kind of pick up the baton from last year. I've learned from mistakes of last year of trying to make a video a day. That's just impossible. It's genuinely impossible, because you can't factor in when you've got a kid and stuff. It's just, you can't guarantee the time. So there's ways and means around it to make the content. March Madness is going to be the biggest challenge. So please, when it comes out, have a watch. It's really interesting. There's North Star involved, Marcos. Don't worry. We've got some North Star bottles in there. It's just a bit of fun. And that's what whiskey's about, isn't it? It's all about the fun. So that's my explanation for why my shelves look a little bit barren compared to the usual setup. I've seen Lowlander. There's a slight delay. When I see the chat, there's a slight delay until I can pull it up. Will you be doing a James Richardson football Italia style video like you did in your last holiday video? You know, see that video? See the amount of effort I went into to make that video, and I was so proud of it, and the absolute lack of views it got. I've not got anywhere planned. I've got a weekend coming up in March, and my wife's on holiday. She's actually going to Spain for her family, her mum and dad and the little one, and so I'm looking at doing some whiskey content that weekend, but sadly I'm not going to Spain. So it's, if the next foreign trip, just for you, Lowlander, for the next foreign trip, I'll do another one. And there was a lot of debate about the ice cream versus the cocktail, and I think it's a bit of a Mandela effect where he definitely did the cocktails and he definitely did the ice creams, but if you look at the clips, it's mostly cocktails. So that's why I went for the cocktail on that one. Plus, that was amazing. That was a baby moon, they call it, before the baby was born. And the hotel we went to was unbelievable in Mallorca. We just splodged and went, we're never getting a chance to do this ever again. The cocktail was really good. Mike, what you going to London Whisky Show? Yes, I will. I've still not bought my ticket. Shame on me. I really need to get that sorted. But my birthday's in March, so I might just ask if people can contribute to get a ticket, because the prices are going up. It's getting a wee bit expensive. It's tough to do. Alan, my whiskey friend, my one had, Port Charlotte. We'll see beating Glen Scotia at 18 in the final. I don't know what I'm expecting. I think the 32 bottles are wide ranging. I mean, you've got some crackers and you've got some. I wouldn't call them controversial, but if I was to go through and pick like 32 of my favourite bottles, it would be very different. I went scattergun because I just thought, you know what, it'd be funny to see where we end up. Funny where to see what like comes up. But those two are fantastic bottles. I love that series, and it's enjoyable. People like you enjoy like I'm enjoying watching you go through that process. So that's why I was like, I quite fancy doing that myself. But it's a wee challenge. I got Lazio. I always thought it was goal Lazio because I gathered at Lazio. And then I found out no, that wasn't the case. So we're talking about festivals, London Whisky Show. Yep, absolutely, I'll be there. In a few weeks' time, there's a couple coming up. So we have the Independent Spirits that's happening in March, and I know I don't know if he's still watching, but Jeff Whiskey was in earlier. We were chatting about that last week. He's going to be going. There's quite a lot of people. You've also got Aquaviti and stuff. Marcos, if you're still watching, is that something Nostar's attending? It'll be quite a it's an independent bottler festival. It'll be great. The whiskies will be fantastic. For me, it's timing and cost and getting up there to Edinburgh, and I was trying to work it, and I looked at it and I thought I could maybe do a day and night, fly back down and use like air miles and rewards and try and get the flights cheap and stuff, but it's just, I don't think it's possible. But the same weekend down south in London, we have the Croydon Whisky Festival. Now people go, Croydon, God. Look, for the last few years it's been happening, it's been getting bigger and bigger. Really good reaction to it. Everybody's been enjoying it. And I was meant to go last year, and I think I was ill or something came up and I couldn't go. And so this year I'm like, maybe I might go there. It's South London. I'm South London. It's not too bad to get to. So I think maybe go to that. It's just timings, and it's on a Saturday and stuff, and the little one. So it's just trying to work around that. But I think I'm going to go to that as my first of the year. Then there's the Whiskey Live London show, which I went to a couple of years ago. I did a video on, and then they moved it out to like near the Excel Centre. Was it the Excel out that way? It was out fucking east, really far east, and they were using whiskey, and I'll call them whiskey influencers, Instagrammers, to show you how to get there and all that. And I was like, and a friend of mine went, and he said the highlight was the Holiday whiskey, which is a bourbon from North Carolina, which was the only thing that was kind of catching my eye to go to. So I don't think I'll go to that. Occasionally they do offers via Instagram ads, and it's like free tickets if you do this or you do that. So that's why I went the last time, because I got a free ticket. So if I get a free ticket, I'd maybe consider it, but it's not high in my agenda. Kodja, welcome in. Good to have you in this evening. Thanks for joining. Can't believe it's already 11:05. That rant at the start just powered us through, didn't it? Lowlander, I know. It's I looked at it and I was trying to figure it out. And I was like, could I fly to Glasgow and get the train through? And then What time's the last bus back to Glasgow? And it's too many hoops to go through, and I know what will happen. I'll want to stay longer, and I just never say never, but I think 95% I'm not going to be able to make that. But yeah, I know some people will be heading to Croydon if the independent festival's on. I might have tried to go to Croydon. We'll see, maybe next year. Yeah, it's funny that the timing, same time. But what can you do? Tough choice to have, but yeah, it's an interesting one. So it's next to it's not technically in Croydon. It's right next to Norwood Junction. So it's on the cusp of Croydon, what I would call Croydon. It's a bit of a pain to get to for me, but why not? Yeah, Fife. I really want to do Fife as well. And it always comes up, and I see I follow them on Instagram and that, and I see the posts coming up saying tickets available and get ready for them and stuff. And I don't, because I know I'm not going to be able to come up. And it's again, it's lodgings, it's staying, it's coming up with people and trying to just work out timings of how to make everything fit. And I think it's such a great problem to have. I think we're spoiled. We're really lucky now that there's so many of these festivals. I do think maybe we're hitting a saturation point. I think maybe there's too many. But the likes of Fife, I think the Croydon one does a great job of what they do. This Independent Spirits one, I think, is really interesting because of the great independent spirit situation we have. The independent bottlers in Scotland. It's quite unique. So be able to have them all in the one place, and the people that will be, all you guys that will be there, and so it's going to be brilliant. I know it is, but I'm not beating myself up too much about it. I can't go everywhere. College, I've been rugby and I'm a few deep. Well, I'm pacing well. I'm pacing very well this evening. Normally it's like dram, but I think all the chat, all that ranting. Merton Festival in St Albans is nice. Somerton, sorry. Somerton Festival in St Albans is nice. Yeah, I heard that. Like, a lot of people enjoy that one. I know that Vin from No Nonsense Whisky and all that go. Again, it's trying to balance everything out, isn't it? It's trying to find the time. St Albans is great for a pub crawl as well. It's really good if you just want to go somewhere outside of London. Because it's north of London. I went for my friend's birthday a couple of years ago in the summer, and it was great. Loads of really good pubs. Tim, evening Tim. Greetings, Kilkerran 17 single cast in the glass. Really crooked black label. Nothing wrong with the juice. Cheers. Tim, would you expect anything else from Mitchell's? Like, it's like a common, like, say if you've not got a nick on your label, or like some scrapes. I'd love to know, like, who puts it? Is it by machine? Like, they're always fucked. It's like a common thing that's almost a charm. I think that's how you would spot. I saw that on I saw this week there was a counterfeit 30-year-old Springbank, and they were able to suss it out by the label. And I was like, oh, is it because the label was perfectly straight? Lowlander, annoyingly, the Drinkswhisky Spirits Festival is on the same day as Independence. Do run a session Sunday, but I'll wiped out from Saturday. Yeah, that Drinkmonger Spirits Festival, I'm assuming I saw that there's a couple of whiskies, but I'm assuming a wider range of what's going on. There you go. Yeah, of course, mate. Of course, we're gonna take it up a notch. There we go. Just for you, Lowlander. I don't have any, unfortunately. I need to put on the playlist, the background playlist, some non-commercial / copyright music, dance music, so that when this happens, we can get on with it. A wee nightcap at Springbank 18 for me. Came today. Don't really need it. Did you pick Codger? Why did you pick that up? Did you pick it up because of what's happening there? Because they're changing up? Or was it a deal? Or was it something good? I nearly picked up a what was it? Liberties? Irish whiskey. I think it was 16 or 16-year-old. I believe it's Bushmills. But it get pinged in my whiskey group. People are like, oh, Amazon have made a mistake. 70 quid. It's 250 quid everywhere else. And then I was like, oh, let me look. And so I looked. And it was 250 quid. And I thought, oh, 70 quid for that? PX casks and stuff. And I thought, it'll be worth a wee punt. And I went back and it was back up to 250 quid. So I obviously never bought it at that. Talking about the Drinkswhisky Spirits Festival, yeah, they have Armagnac, Cognac, Rum, Mezcal, Woven are going to be attending. Oh, that'll be good. A Woven not at the independent one as well. Whiskey Club bottle, 60 quid. Oh, can he beat that? 60 quid, Springbank 18. Alan's got his as well. Fantastic. Kilkerran heavily peated. I know. Oh, like, I've got them all. They're all sat. They have their own shelf down there. Every heavily peated. From 1 to 10. I need to pick up the 11. I've not picked up the 11 yet. Shame. But I can't open them until they stop. It's so stupid. Maybe I'll buy 2 of the 11. And then I crack open the 11. That's probably better. I can pick up the 10. Like, there's no rhyme or reason for it either, Frank. There's no rhyme or reason for me not opening them. It's just became a thing, but it's quite funny. And so, like, my friends enjoy laughing at me when they point at them, like, why have you got all these? I'm like, I'll do it when they stop. Right. Now we've went from, so we've done, we started here, right? Then we went here. Then we went rogue to here. And now we're going to go to here. So this is the Springbank cast strength from last year. The second release of last year. Now the first release is on the shelf. First release is there of last year. But that only has about that much in it. Because it's fucking unbelievable. And this was the second one, which is still really good. But I preferred the first, and I'm quite intrigued to see how I'll enjoy this now, especially after the port cask. So different, isn't it? And I think what it came down to was the majority of that, if not all, the first release was bourbon heavy and this was more sherried. And I preferred the bourbon heavy version of it. I think that's what it came down to. Alan, absolute pleasure. Thanks for joining. Definitely tune in. Are you on, soon, if you want to give a shout out, what time are you live? No, perhaps Woven. I've already arranged to attend. Yeah, it could have been. It could have been. They're also at Croydon. They're at the Croydon Festival, same day. So maybe that's it. Maybe they're just too stretched. Pick and choose. Roger, have you done a side of the? Are you talking about of the Springbank, the 2? I did on the up. I've got a beer the perfect draft behind me, and it pressurizes. It goes a bit funny. Apologies for that noise, guys. Alan, the whiskey friend, he is live tomorrow night, 8 p.m, guys. So I will absolutely do my best. If I'm not on my, I'll definitely be tuning in on something. That's witching hour with the wee one. Normally, if I can get her down 7:30, I do bedtime. So, but I'll definitely be watching, mate. Thanks for joining. But yeah, side by side. I did the side by side last year, at the end of the year, and I definitely preferred the bourbon one. But they're both great. I think that was the problem. I think the problem was it came down to like that individual preference. They were both so good. I think the 12 cask strength is probably the best stuff that Springbank put out. Said it. They don't batch labels. So this one is 56.2 and the other one is like, it's very close. There's like a point in it, maybe 57.2, I think it is. What's this? We need to see if I correct my Springbank 2024. So there's this one's a 56.2. And then the 57.2 is the more bourbon heavy one, which I preferred. But it's still fantastic, but I would say it's yeah, I can't lie. The first one is better than that one, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. And that's my palate. So I would say crack it open. See if you don't like it. You'll very easily find something that'll drink it and take it off your hands. And yet, no, that's the one that's on the shelf. That's got about that much left. And I was sure I had another bottle of it somewhere. And I'll need to go and have a look. I was sure I had 2 bottles of it. And if I don't, I'll be really upset, and then I'm going to have to try and pick one up at auction, and then 54.1. Well, that's 56.2. You know what? I'm going to go. Let me get the other bottle. I was trying to see if I could find the Cadenhead Springbank. I couldn't see it off just by looking, but that's the 57.2, and that's the 56.2. And this one is slightly darker than this. There you go. There's your reason right there. It's Saturday. You're watching Saturday Night Drams. Come on. What other excuse do you need? That's why this exists. It's the reason for us all to settle in, curry in, in Scotland. Have a couple of drams, bit of chat, like-minded folk. It's good. It's really good. The sherry makes it a little bit rounded. There's like, and by rounded, all I can describe it as is like a rounded corner. And that's the only way I can describe it. Might not be helpful for anybody, but that's all the push I need. With a quick Google reviews, batch 24, probably a 2023 release. Yeah, I would say 54.1 It wasn't last year's release because those two were last year. Like, you're going to be in for a good time either way, Kyle. Let's be fair. Absolutely. Cheers, mate. Enjoy. Glenn Bar 220 just put a Scappa 21. She's my new lover. I'd marry her just for the nose. I'll be honest, I don't have much right there. I've got no Scappa unless I don't even think they have. No, I think it's Highland Park. There's a couple of independent bottles, but I'm pretty sure they're Highland Park. It's got to sit in the glass for a minute, but the nose is amazing, like a raspberry left out in the sun. What? Let's see. Brilliant, Kyle. Fantastic. Like a raspberry left out in the sun. There's still a to that one, that sherry one, there's a jamminess to it that comes out. And there's a, again, plug for tomorrow's video. The one I review tomorrow goes all over the place and then lands on this like red fruitiness, which I'd left in the glass after a live stream. Took up to the house, but then the little one was crying, left it, didn't drink it, came back the next day and then was like, smelled it and I was like, but fantastic, like a raspberry left in us. That's poetic, mate. Fantastic. So yeah, we were talking whiskey festivals. Later in the year, we obviously have Glasgow. I'm going to definitely try and go to Glasgow again because that was just outstanding. That was just such a great festival. It's that time, guys, where I have to turn off my camera, a security camera that's in here. Means we've done 2 hours. Definitely going to try and go to Glasgow. Whiskey Fringe, we will see. My wife would love to go back to Scotland, same time, summer, go up the Highlands again, explore. So if we time it right, maybe I'll get to go to that again if I can get a ticket. London, definitely doing that. Paris, I'd like to do Paris, but everybody's told me Paris is mental. Just recently, there was a Chichibu Matsuri, which if you've not watched Kampai Planet, Mac, Kampai Planet, he does all things Japanese. He's in Tokyo. He went last year. I'm sure he went this year. He's been very quiet. I'm sure he would have went this year. And he went to it last year, and you watch it and you think, that'd be great fun as well. Looks a bit more manic. Looks a bit like the downstairs of the Whiskey Fringe, like in the tent, in general, but that would just be fantastic to go to. Peter, the Friday says alternates 99 or more out of 100 and a Highland Park. Exactly, yeah. They just don't do it. It's just not an IB bottling. It was great. Booked already. Bye work. Yeah. It's provisionally booked, but pretty much booked. The joy of having family back there. So it's like, it's not, I don't need to worry about accommodation. The flight, I can get up. It's fine from here. It's a ticket. It's a ticket. And after last year's drama, the drama of last year when, so silly. Was so prepped, was so excited for it. Everything laid out. Clockwork. Left early. Drove to the airport. Got in the airport. Chilled out. Had breakfast. All good. Going up to Glasgow, buzzing. And then got to the gate. And at that moment, when I sat at the gate, I realised I'd left my ticket for the festival on my desk. And I was like, and they were so strict. Everything was like, they're so strict. And so I posted this on Instagram, and I was like, I'm just going to like make my case and prove. And then we had to get the, I was like, can I get a ticket up in time? can we get it up? Can I get it next day delivery? I'd found that Royal Mail do it, and my wife took it to the post office, and they're like, no, we don't, and blah, blah, blah. And then I had to send the screen grab and say, no, they do. And they did, and they sent it, and then panicking. It cost me more to send it than the ticket itself cost. The ticket was sent up, and then that night in the Bonaccord, after recording the podcast with Marcos and that, I get introduced to somebody that organises the festival. He's like, it's fine, I can put you on the list and get you in with your ticket. And I was like, ticket's coming though. The ticket's coming, but thank you. Because it was so genuine. It was such a horrible moment. And then it was it had to be delivered by 9 a.m. I think it was 9 a.m. guaranteed. And 9 a.m. came and went. There was no ticket. I was just like, I'm so freaking out. And then it came at 9:10, and so I got a full refund. And still got to go to the show, but it was stress that I just could have done with it. So if you're ever going to a whiskey show and you need a ticket, a physical ticket, not a QR code of that, just staple it to your forehead. That's what I'm going to do in future. Yeah, nightmare. It was honestly, it was horrendous. It was so bad. One job, take the ticket, and it was left on my desk. And I remember the first message I sent my wife was, is my ticket on, can you go to the desk and is my ticket on it? And she just sent me a photo back, and it was like, oh. Like, I had the proof of everything. I had proof of purchase and blah, 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 and it would have been fine in the end, but you don't want to take the chance, and it was so silly because it was yourself. You know, like, nothing worse. No one to blame. Kyle's on an adventure here, by the way. SB12 54.1 is after a taste, a raspberry shortbread warmed in a low temp oven. Have you got a blog? Are you writing for Dramface or that, mate? Because you're tasting, like, you're putting me to shame. I come out with some random shit and you're coming out with poetry. I'm like, that's me talking about it. Yeah, most do, and there's like a fail safe and whatever, and so your phone. And it was just, it was because on the ticket as well. On the ticket itself, it does state no physical ticket, no entry. And I'm stood there, I'm like, oh my God. But lesson learned. Next time I'm like, maybe I just buy my ticket and get it sent to my mum's in Glasgow, and then it's there. But then I'll be panicking, going like, is it there? Raspberries everywhere tonight. Exactly. I don't even like raspberries, Glenn. I'll be honest, I'm not a raspberry fan of the fruit itself. Just no into it. Not into them at all. Don't mind raspberry ripple ice cream, which it might be a UK thing, but Kel, if only, well, why not? I think you should. You obviously got a knack for it. Away with words. Reach out to the Dramface guys if you want to write something. If not, do this. By this, I don't mean just swig a beer. I mean, like, it's quite hard. It's hard to describe whiskies. I've learnt that doing the for me or no for me challenge. And one of my colleagues that watches, she said to me, she goes, you relate a lot of stuff to sweets, and like candies and like confectionery, and I'm like, yeah, but the ones I've been trying do all have these kind of notes, but maybe it's just my palate. And she's like, no, I get peppery, and I was like, oh well, the whiskey she was saying, I was like, don't get that. And then I googled the whiskey, and there was a Dramface review, and I was like, oh fine, I'm gonna go down, and my notes matched that, and I was like, oh thank God for that. Put her in a place. No pepper. So that's what she gets. Then I was saying not for me and throw your ticket away. Exactly, Pierre. That would be the other fear. She'd be like, no, why has this been sent? This is obviously this is someone chasing David or something. It won't be anything useful. Bar 220. Brilliant. So I just found out waxy is a descriptor for a nose of beeswax candles or lanolin. I always thought it was just another term for mouthfeel or oily. Who thought this? Yeah, I don't get. I'm trying to think. So the last one that I described as waxy, like properly waxy, was the Thompson Brothers North Highland blend, which is Klein Leash and Glen Ord. And I got the waxiness on the palate. And with Klein Leash, I get the waxiness on the palate. I don't know if I would describe a nose as waxy. Maybe. But can you smell a candle? Surely you're smelling the smoke, or you're smelling, like, you're not smelling the wax burning, are you? Is that? Don't know. That's no, for me it's always been mouthfeel. It's always been like a texture, and the waxiness not so much as like a candle wax. It's always been like a, well, maybe like a, I don't know, like I'm rubbing my fingers like that. Maybe it's kind of like candle wax in your fingers. That feeling of like, and it coats the palate, and then it's like, oh, oily, waxy. So I know for me that's always been until I've never said it as a nose. Frank coming in with the bangers, by the way. Look at this. Yes, I had a Dalyun, a Delphi Dalyun, and the spirit. It was when I believe they told me that Dalyun stood in for Klein Leash at a point in time. Might be wrong, might be right. Maybe it was the other way, but I'm sure Dalyun stood in at one point, and it's super waxy. Because the profile was just so similar, and I get it again. It's a mouthfeel for me. I never get it on the nose. It's always been the mouthfeel, but maybe there's others. Kyle, I'm going to, in tribute to you and your raspberry beret, I'm going to go for, I'm going to have to pour some of this, aren't I? What is it they say? If you love something, set it free. If it's truly love, it will come back to you. Please, another bottle of this, please come back to me. Yeah, to me that nose is so much better than the other one. The other one is more fruity, more red, more rounded. This cuts through, and that's a bourbon, without a doubt. That's a bourbon cask. Definitely the percentage is so much higher. And the mouthfeel just feels a little bit sharper, a little bit more tightened. And I would say it's probably, it's no fully, I'm probably getting influenced by this. So I'm looking at this. This is my wee trackpad. See the rounded corners? That's the other Springbank. This one is a little bit sharper, but not super sharp corners. A little bit more of an edge, but just delicious, man. So good, so good. Love me some Prince as well. Enjoyed his raspberry flavour. Right. Enough raspberry chat, right? But Prince chat we can have all day. We're coming out of the Springbank frenzy, short haul. Chat seems to have died down a little bit. So normally we would talk about Springbank alternatives. For good reason, thankfully, hopefully. The Ben Romack chat has died down a wee bit. The hype around it. I know that all it'll take is Ralphie or Roy Aquavite just saying it and it'll spike again. But we're able to pick up a couple of Ben Romacks. But they've not put out anything, correct me if I'm wrong, recently. That's been like hard to get or like different or maybe like a single cask. They normally do like their independent bars or the whatever. But outside the Ben Romack, is there anything else that you would relate to Springbank alternatives? So for me, I'm just kind of thinking like the long row. Peated, a little bit heavier. Where would you go with that? Hazelburn. There's no Hazelburn at the moment. But for me, Hazelburn sings when it's super light and fruity. Sings. I had a Hazelburn 21 that was unbelievable, and then I got the next year because I was like, oh, that was fantastic. I tried it. I really wanted it. Couldn't get it. Got the next year's one. Tried it before I opened it, thank God, and it was completely different. And then people were like, oh no, just leave it for 6 months, it'll be great. And I'm like, ain't nobody got money for that. And I just sold it on to a mate. I was like, you have it. And I tried it after 6 months and it never got to where that other one was. But Hazelburn sings at that. Springbank, you have that. But is there like the malt, I don't want to use malt alternative phrase, but like alternatives to them? What are we finding? And then Kilkerran as well. Just seen that there, Lowlander. The Kilkerran for me kind of sits. I feel like Kilkerran's a cousin. Kilkerran is a cousin, a close cousin, like family. Visit, like stays every weekend, does all that, like really good pals. But Kilkerran just has a slightly different profile, whereas the other three just, I don't know, sit. Does that make sense? I'm kind of confused myself a wee bit. Kyle, if only I could find a Ben Romack catch out. Kyle, where are you again? Where are you in the US? There must be Ben Romack. Has to be it there, surely. If not, we'll find a way. We will find a way. To be honest, a Glenturret 12-year-old does a good job if you like raisins. Yeah. I've got a peated Glenturret, which is delicious, and I think Glenturret do great things. And the new stuff, but the pricings just went a bit mental. Makes it quite hard to pick up. There you go. The price of Glenturret had really gone up, though, unfortunately. Excuse me. Question is not Campbell. Yeah, correct. It's not Campbelltown. It's not so much. And it also not what's readily available. It's more we have such a divergence, and I've really enjoyed and been really shocked. I'll be completely honest, and I don't think anybody watching this will argue the fact, but there's like certain distilleries have had a tipping point where they've went from being like nah to being like fuck me, like that's really good. Glasgow, I can't get over the change in Glasgow, like the spirit. Glasgow distillery went from like little bit. And I was giving them every will in the world, being Glaswegian, being like, come on, Glasgow, do us a favour. And now the cask strength, the peated cask strength, unbelievable. I've got that PX cask that Vin No Nonsense Whiskey put out with Glasgow. Unbelievable for the age. Just beautiful. But I've tried the core line release. Well, I say core line, but like the limited core release. Brilliant. And that, for me, and like the long row steaks, I'm not saying it's the same. I'm not saying that by any means, but I'm saying like alternatives of like stuff that's affordable. You can pick up, you can pretty much find it, and still have an experience where you go, oh, and you've got a bit of time with it in the glass, and you think about it, and you're going, oh, this is a whiskey that I'm really enjoying. Sorry guys, I'm having to scroll up. I'm going to move this over here. That makes so much more sense, so I'm not looking over to the side. PT Ben Nevis 6-year signatory. Yeah, but to be fair, like all those signatories, those 100s are pretty much there or thereabouts, aren't they? Western Mass. I can get the Curiositas in the several age stated Ben Romax, but no CS. Also, I just bought a Peregrine. Started at 12 sale and pre-order for $59. Yes, I might be a little biased. $59. It's really good. That's a good price. Western Mass, so never eat. Where in Western Mass? My Massachusetts knowledge is terrible, but I used to, amongst many other places, I used to live in Maine. I used to drive through Mass at the end of summer. Another one, yeah, Clydeside has got better because that Stub Cross was terrible. I've got a bottle of it in there. People are like, why have you not punted it? I'm like, who's buying it? Nobody's buying it. But yeah, I've got that first release of Stub Cross. I thought when I went to the distillery, I was quite shocked when we did the tasting at the end of the tour that the whiskey was actually alright. And I think like that's on us. I think there's an expectation level that we expect everything to be fantastic off the bat, and sometimes it can't be. It's no viable at all. Let me see. Western Mass. Maybe ask Jimmy Jazz. Northampton, just off I-91. Right, I'm going to pull up. Sorry, I hate doing this during the stream. I'm going to pull up maps. I'm going to look at this, right? Northampton and Massachusetts. Where are we going? Pull out. Nah, I would not. Yeah, I never went that way. We always ended up going from Maine, and I'm looking at the map, into Boston, and then across to Connecticut. But you're near Springfield. But surely, like as the guys have been saying in the chat, so from there. There must be ways of getting you good whiskey. I'm just having a look at the map here. Boston, how far is Boston? Now we're 43. It's quite far, isn't it? Tim, like the lag, Corey Cravey, I'm not sure how it would head to head compare with Long Row Reds. Yeah, to be fair, I've not really went into the lags too much. I tried when they first released, and I found it a little bit hot, which went against the grain for everybody else, but it just wasn't like, tickling me. And then I've not had opportunities to try them, so hopefully if they're at whiskey shows and stuff, I'll give them a bash. but you're enjoying it. Would you recommend it? And I've got a bottle of the first release too. I'm planning to hold on to it and hopefully get a bottle in 2028. It should be 10 years old, I think. Compare the bottles side by side. Yeah, that's us talking about the Clydeside distillery. I tried the latest stuff at Glasgow Whisky Festival and it was good. It was much better. And I said that to them. Granted, that this was near the end of the festival, so I was saying exactly what was on my mind to them. But it just takes time. It just takes time with everybody. And I don't know if it's a case of they need to learn how to work the stills and they need to like learn or distill it. They need to understand what's going on with it and craft it and do bits and leave older stuff in cask and pull it out and whatever. The first one was terrible. It was terrible, and I think kind of hard to not acknowledge that. Kyle, 1.5 to Boston, 2.5 to NYC. Shipping's always a little tricky, but I can get the big boys with a markup, of course. Yeah, like it's similar over. It's similar for bourbon over here to an extent, but I think that the whole whiskey community and stuff is really good at helping people find stuff. By whiskey, I mean Scotch whiskey. It's a little bit less cutthroat than the bourbon scene, I would say, if you're after like actual drinking whiskey. I'm sure we can get you a Ben Romack cast strength. There has to be a way. Which reminds me, I had one of the viewers reach out about a bottle that I've got on my shelf. And if you're watching this, I'm going to keep this very vague. It is coming. I'm just waiting on something because I'm going to send you something with it. So don't think I forgot. Just will I remember. But there's there has to be ways. Surely, and I'm surprised that Ben Romack isn't more readily available over there, like at cast strength, because they put out quite a few over here. Right, guys, we're coming up last 12 minutes. As usual, try and finish at midnight. Give everybody a wee bit of time back so you can go and do what you need to do. We've covered Springbank week. I think if you got some, fantastic. If you didn't, don't worry. There's other whiskey out there. If you got older Springbanks, fantastic. They're just as good. I think festivals coming up. Campbelltown, Croydon, Independent. We won't go into anything post. I've been itching though. I've been itching. The Kentucky itch is back because it's so different over there. But a lot of what's going on with the politics of the whole world and stuff makes it a little bit awkward because you're just kind of looking and you think, I don't know if I'm going to go over there, and like flight prices might go up, accommodation's probably going to go up, the inflation's going a bit funny. I really wanted to go back in September to the Bourbon and Beyond Festival, which is the week after the Bourbon Fest, weirdly, which would probably be better, but the music festival looks amazing, Louisville. But then I'm like, oh, you could camp, and then I find out you camp in a giant car park under the UPS flight path, and it's just planes taking off the entire time, and you're camping in a concrete car park, and it's $18 a drink. So maybe not. But there is an urge to go back to America and do some more whiskey stuff over there. And I think it's that Kyle will be able to answer this a bit better than me, but it's that difference. You're not used to the culture or the country, so everything feels fresh and new. Just the idea of going over there and like getting up and having like going to the place and having whatever's rancheros for breakfast, and then getting in the car like we did before and driving and going Buffalo Trace and all that kind of stuff. Oh, it's brilliant. It was so much fun. Whereas Scotland trip is you wake up, rolling sausage, right to the distillery, get a nod, and then be like, do the tour, and it's like, aye, that's what we do there, and then out. Just hospitality vibes. Again, SWA, you could do more. You could do more. God, you're saying there is plenty in New Jersey, but, and I can see Petehead's comment is about to come in. I'm going to put it up, saying if I go over, sneak some bottles in. Look, I know that Roy has it. Roy has the mule system, Aquavita's mule system. There's always a way. There is always a way to get good bottles to people. I got a friend that lives in LA, and I was telling him about, like, I've got him onto the Dickel, but that was more emotive. But the Thompson brothers, and I was like, oh, you should get Thompson brothers. Like, I can't know what, like, Google it and stuff, and nothing comes up. They're called the Redacted brothers over there for some reason. I assume there's other Thompson brothers doing something in spirits, and put them onto that. And I was like, it's mad that you can pick up a bottle of the Thompson brothers blended Scotch whisky, the sherry one, in your liquor store. That's mental to me. And yet Kelly is sitting in mass and he's struggling to get the Ben Romac. So that's my mission, mate. Kyle, I will try and find a way to get you some of that goodness. Don't get me wrong, it's good. You're not going to be taken away. It's not going to blow your mind, but we'll find a way. Tim, the lag sherry cask compared with current Lafroy Cadet, I can never pronounce that. Kerdies. I brought it back up. Clay says sherry cask is pretty good. To a step up from initial, yeah. Like the Clyde side, anything new is a step up from that initial release. Absolutely. Glenn, everything is fresh and new when I go to Scotland. Yeah, exactly. And it's the beauty of it. It's the appreciation, and everything tastes different and looks different and feels different when you go somewhere far. I go to the States. I used to work in the States. I used to be in the States all the time, live there and whatever. But it has a feel. The light feels different. Like how outside looks and smells, and it's fantastic. So good. We're so fortunate we live in a time where we can experience everything like this. Kyle, I was lucky enough to marry a girl from Dunblane, so I get over at least once a year. Right. Kyle, in that case, come on. There's no excuses. When are you back over? We'll get that case filled up. See, Caden heads now off of the warehouse tasting the London shop. No need for you to go to Campbelltown to use your vouchers now. I didn't even know. Yeah, but it's probably easier for me to go to Campbelltown than that shop, to be honest, on my day-to-day life. I wish, like, it's a great shop, great people. It's just awkward getting up there for me, for work and stuff. It's in a wee pocket. It's in a wee pocket of a place of London that's so inconvenient. I'm going to say Kerdies is pronounced as car chase. Is it? I should know that. Is it car? No way. No way. Car chase. Gaelic. Car chase. Oh, it could be, mate. It really could. I trust you, but do I? The irony is, one of my mates, his surname is Caird, and so he buys that. So if it's car chase, that's even better. Well, we're coming up to the last 5 minutes, guys. I appreciate everybody for watching and tuning in. if you've been with me the whole stream, more power to you for sticking up with it. It's always an absolute pleasure to be doing the Saturday Night Drams with you. I enjoy it. Hopefully you enjoy it. I get so much back from it. The community that we're building here, I feel like we're building a wee solid community over time. Takes time. We're getting there. But this is what whiskey's all about. And that's why I love it. I think it's such a interesting space. I try and explain it to my wife. I try and explain it to my friends that aren't into whiskey. We're really fortunate that the thing that binds us together is an alcohol, a lubricant of social interaction. And we need to treat it with some respect. So obviously drink responsibly, everybody. I wouldn't normally finish a stream saying drink responsibly, but I'm just putting that in there as I'm about to pour another one. Back to the 15. Just you know it's good when you can go from cask strength to a 46%. And it still holds up. It holds up amongst all of that. Car chess. Yep. P-Ed, thanks for organising. I'm going to hit the sack. Need to be fresh for the stream of the Whiskey Friend tomorrow. Yep, exactly. Remember, Alan's going live tomorrow, 8 PM. Tune in to the Whiskey Friend. I gave him a shout out in my recent one. It's his fault. It's all his fault. That's all I can say. My last video. I blame it all on him. That's what you've got to do. Lowlander. Oh, there we go. Thanks again for the stream. Big biscuit for next week, so I probably won't make you stream if you do one then. Mate, honestly, just ping on Instagram all the fun stuff you have as it's happening. Let me live vicariously through you. That'll be a fucking phenomenal weekend. So jealous. So jealous. So jealous. Derek messaged me about the Springbank cask strength. Yes, when I figure out what that means. I'm a wee bit confused by that, but let me see. Is it on my phone? Kyle, you're more than welcome. Always. We're here. I would say I'm here most Saturdays, even if I don't publicise. I'm terrible at the publicity of it. I'm here 9:45 PM GMT normally. So whatever that is, if you're in mass, that's what, 4 hours off 9. So 5:45. So a nice early session for you. But yeah, normally here. Really good fun. Please check if you're new, check out the videos. If you're not, thanks for watching the videos. Glenn, appreciate your support as always. Always really appreciated. And on that, guys, I think we're done. I think we're finished. So on that note, we have to go to the man himself, don't we?
So until we meet again, Slangy Va.
See you later. Cheers.